Welcome to episode 10 of Pinnacle FC. Gareth Wheeler, Jake Osgathorpe with you with a new addition to the Pinnacle FC stable. We're going to turn a regular focus here going forward on the Champions League. Each and every week that there's European fixtures, we're going to get dug in and stuck in and provide you our picks and plays from the week ahead in the Champions League. So we're excited about this. Obviously, it's a different format than there was before. 36 teams competing in one table, 8 games for each side. You don't play a home and away. It's kind of a little bit unorthodox, but it's been a format that's provided some good fixtures so far. The top 8 immediately automatically go through to the final 16. Then from 9 to 24, those teams play home and away for the final 8 teams to qualify to provide that round of 16, and everything straightforward from there on in. I think that's clear. Anything else you need to bring up, Jake? I think that's about it.
No, you've covered it very well, very quickly. I would just say so far it's been bloody brilliant. I've loved it. Just so nice to get a mixture of games, and I'm pretty sure all the teams in the competition will be more than happy to be playing 8 different opponents rather than 3 of the same opponents twice. It just makes everything a little bit better for the fans, for the clubs, etc. Yeah, it makes it interesting for bettors as well.
It does, and it's a little bit weird when you look at the Champions League table, and there's 36 teams, and right atop of the table is Aston Villa. On that note, what we're going to do is we'll provide some context on some of the biggest fixtures of the week, and then we'll provide our best 3 bets of the week as well. And we might as well start off at Anfield because it's the return of Xabi Alonso as Bayer Leverkusen travel to take on Liverpool. Liverpool second in the table. They do have a perfect 3 wins from 3 games in the Champions League as well. And they're rolling right now atop the Premier League table. Bayer Leverkusen never losing this season. There's been a bunch of draws thrown in. They have lost a game, but both teams come in on really good form here. Neither have lost a game in 11, and Xabi Alonso's side somehow is coming off a goalless draw against Stuttgart last week. Liverpool's the favorite ahead of this one, minus 136 if you want to back Liverpool, plus 309 for the draw, plus 365 for the away side. The handicap is set at 3/4 of a goal, minus 0.75 in Liverpool's favor at minus 107, minus 103 going the other way. And the total is set at 3.25, plus 105 for the over, minus 118 for the under. I know there's going to be the emotion. I think Xabi Alonso is the man that a lot of Liverpool supporters wanted to see take over their club inevitably, but Arne Slot has really done not a thing wrong since he took over as well. How do you look at this game, Jake?
Yeah, I mean, immediately it's a no bet for me. I think that the markets look kind of right. I was very, very close to making a Liverpool win play, that minus 137. He's probably just slightly too short, but it is borderline for me. I wouldn't be surprised. I wouldn't put anybody off getting them involved because I do think that they are a better team than Leverkusen. I think they play with more control, more structure this season. I think that's helping them to be a bit more consistent in their matches. So they definitely will get my vote. And because of that control, I would also be looking at maybe backing the unders as well. The goal line seems pretty high at 3.25. And as we've discussed on Pinnacle FC a lot of time already this season, Liverpool's games are seeing a lot less goals than what they were seeing under Jurgen Klopp, like by quite a bit as well. I think they've only had 4 games go over 2.5. And I know Leverkusen come with a tag of high scoring, will score 2, you score 2, but this Liverpool defence needs some credit because they are played very, very well in the system that Slot's set up. So I would be leaning towards the under and possibly a Liverpool win in this one.
Yeah, I'm backing the unders in this one for that very reason. Keep an eye on this market on Pinnacle as well, because I think that there might be a little bit more value than the minus 118 that's currently on tap, because the public money will come in on this game and it'll be sided with the over. Liverpool hasn't gone over 3 goals at home in the Premier League or the Champions League all season. Like Anfield, it's been a case of control the games and just doing enough to get over the line. In fact, 9 goals scored and just 3 against, 3 conceded in 5 games at Anfield in the Premier League. Konaté went out through injury against Brighton on the weekend, but Gomez stepped in and played very well. And they have Kwanzaa in the mix as well. And I still think, despite his poor first game of the season, he can be a useful player in the back line. The last two games for Leverkusen in the Champions League as well, combined 3 goals against Bologna and Leipzig. They played 0-0 on Friday against Stuttgart. In 6 of Leverkusen's last 8 games, 3 goals or less have been scored, including 1-1 against Brest in the Champions League and just a 1-0 win over AC Milan. They've scored 10 goals away in 4 games in the Bundesliga, but the XG is about 2 goals fewer than that. So I just think it's a game that it's going to be a little bit tight based upon the way the home side plays in Liverpool. So we're going to back the under in that match as well. We should touch on Real Madrid. They're 12th in the table, 2 wins and a loss. They did lose to Lille in the Champions League. Taking on AC Milan, which finds itself in 25th place. Now, take the table with a grain of salt, but Milan hasn't been playing that well in either Serie A or Champions League competition this season. It's notable when it comes to Real Madrid because this is the first time they're going to be playing since their 4-0 loss at home to Barcelona. Madrid, significant favorites, minus 220, plus 398 for the draw, plus 566 if you want to back the away side. The handicap's at a goal and a quarter, minus 102 to Real Madrid. And the total as well for this game is set at 3.25. I'm projecting and predicting a bounce back for Madrid here. Is there any value to be had in this game? Because I simply don't trust AC Milan right now.
I'm exactly the same. I don't trust Milan, but I also don't trust Madrid. That back line is more than capable of conceding 2 every game because of the forward players, the amount of talent that they're trying to squeeze into the team. Again, if I knew that Milan were going to start Rafael Leao, Christian Pulisic, which they didn't a couple of games ago, which was a huge surprise, then I would be all over the overs, over 3.25. Because I just think that Madrid are going to go out there and with all the star players that they've got, the firepower, they could easily put 4 past Milan. Did they put 5 past Dortmund, didn't they, in the last Champions League game? And Milan are more than capable of hitting as well on the counter-attack with those players I've just mentioned. So for me, I'm no better at the moment, but if team use comes out and those Milan players are starting, I will be pulling the trigger on an over bet.
The best bet that I could find, go through the Pinnacle betting options and bet team to win plus over 2.5. For me, that's Real Madrid over 2.5 at minus 106. It's one of my best bets of the week. Despite that 4-0 loss, Madrid in the previous 5 games scored at home in La Liga, scored 14 goals. Their XG is 8 in 3 Champions League games. That is among the best. They're going to be motivated after being beaten at home 4-0 by Barcelona. And the Champions League nonsense, the Ballon d'Or nonsense, all that plays in to a petulant and angry and frustrated side. And I think that AC Milan might be delivered a rude awakening here. Milan has played twice this week in the span that Real Madrid has not played. A 1-0 away win at Monza, is that a good result? I mean, I guess it was practically, from a pragmatic perspective, it was decent enough. But Milan is 28th in the Champions League in expected goal differential per 90 minutes. And their 2.8 expected goals, that's 29th. Yes, they played Liverpool and Leverkusen, but they also played Club Brugge over the course of that span. And the only reason why they beat them 3-1 is Brugge had a player sent off in the 40th minute. So Madrid over 2.5 seems a straightforward play to me. I think this game, like Jake does as well, there will be goals. Those are the 2 games from Tuesday that we want to focus on. Let's spin to the Wednesday fixture, and it's a big one. Inter taking on Arsenal. Both sides have yet to concede a goal in the Champions League. Inter's shown a knack for being able to put the ball in the back of the net this season. Arsenal, I mean, they're on the verge of falling out of things in the Premier League, a run of poor form. It seems like no Martin Odegaard, no party for Arsenal. And these 2 sides play, which will be a pretty important game in terms of maybe that top 8 seeding in the Champions League this week. In terms of the markets and what they're at on Pinnacle, plus 163 if you want to back Inter, plus 216 for the draw, plus 198 on Arsenal. The draw no bet, minus 120 if you want to back Inter, plus 108 for Arsenal, and the total is set at just 2.25. Minus 111 for the over, minus 101 for the under. How do you look at this game, Jake? I think it means a whole lot more for Arsenal to get it back on track, especially with the news on on Monday that technical director Adu was leaving the club as well. Something just seems off with the Gunners right now.
Yeah, you're not wrong. They are, like I said, very close to this becoming a bit of a disaster of a season. They're so far behind already in the Premier League. They do not want to be finishing in that 9 to 24 range in this competition. But like you said, they've been very good so far. They've kept 3 clean sheets. Inter as well been very good, and that's exactly why the totals is set as low as it is. Again, I've got no bet in this, and if I was leaning, it would be towards Arsenal and the draw no bet, just because I think that they are probably a better team than Inter, and they should be marginal favourites even if playing away from home. So yeah, that's where I would be going. But again, like you said, no Odegaard, just it knocks all the confidence in that pick. So it's not something I will be putting my money on.
I just don't think it's a game that either side will want to lose. That's why that number is so low. So the better play for me is both teams to score no at plus 101. Neither have conceded in the Champions League. Inter scoring goals for fun in Serie A, but I think that playing in the Champions League in a game, once again, you simply just don't want to lose in terms of your positioning. I think it's a game where a very low goal total and both teams to score no is the best way for me to play this at plus 101. All right, Jake, let's go through your best bets. I know you're kind of lukewarm on those 3 feature fixtures. What games are catching your eye?
So my favourite bet of the entire week is Aston Villa to beat Club Brugge. They are away from home, but we're getting a plus 115 number, which I think is massive. We saw Villa go to Young Boys, and Bruges are probably a little bit above Young Boys in terms of class. But they went there and they went off at minus 167 to beat Young Boys, and I don't think the gap between Bruges and Young Boys is as big as what these odds imply. They're just not very good side, Bruges. They lost to Dortmund and Milan, conceded 3 goals in total. As you mentioned, they had a red card in that Milan game, but still conceded a lot of chances before that. And Villa have been excellent in this competition. 3 wins, 3 clean sheets. Emery is a very canny operator when it comes to European football. And I think they'll be looking for bounce back as well. They were really poor against Spurs, weren't they, in that second half? And they'll be looking for a result to bounce back. And, one more, maybe 2 more wins, and they'll probably maybe secure themselves as that in the top 8, depending on other results. Probably just need a couple more draws after that. But I just thought the number of a Villa win plus 115 was a little bit disrespectful to Villa, really.
I'm on the exact same play. That's my best bet of the week. Also for Club Bruges, Onyedika is suspended as well. He's a starting central midfielder. He's out of this game. Villa being great in the Champions League, and Club Bruges is one of those teams that probably will find themselves in the bottom 8 when all said and done. I don't get this line. And a bounce back for Villa, I think, is in the cards after a humbling experience in the second half against Spurs on the weekend. What else is making your podium in terms of top plays this week?
So it's another away team. This time it's Leipzig away at Celtic. And it's a similar number. It's plus 117. And Celtic, they had a good result against Slovan Bratislava, but they were well beaten by Dortmund and then should have lost by about 3 or 4 to Atalanta. They conceded 2.26 XG in that game, put up next to nothing, so they were completely outclassed. And I think Leipzig are in that kind of ballpark of Atalanta in terms of quality. They're having a really good Bundesliga season. I think they just got beat by Dortmund at the weekend 2-1, which again probably goes into the form lines of Leipzig just being a bit of a class above Celtic, really. They've lost all 3 of the Champions League games so far, which means this is probably must win for Leipzig. But as I said, the 3 defeats have come against Juventus, Atletico Madrid and Liverpool. So 3 teams that you would expect to be at the very least in the top half of this Champions League group. And they only lost by a single goal in all of them. So I think, again, this number should be probably closer to even money. I think there's a bit of a gulf between these 2.
All right. And the third and final play that you're going to make?
For me, it's going to be the overs in Stuttgart, Atalanta. The line's at 3.25, which is high, especially because every game Atalanta play in the Champions League has gone under so far. But that doesn't reflect the amount of chances that they've had and created, especially in games against Arsenal and Celtic, where they had 2-0-0s. Their game so far this season are averaging 4.2 in Serie A. Stuttgart's at 3.6. And like I said, it's not must win for these 2, but if they want to get in the top 8, this is a very good opportunity for both to get 3 points on the board. So I do think it's going to be a bit of an end-to-end ding-dong.
Yeah, the only other thing I'd mention is that both teams have a 6.1 expected goals through 3 Champions League games. That's among the best in the Champions League. And Atalanta, their XG is even higher than their away goal total of 11. It's almost 13. So they're creating chances for fun in Stuttgart in a very similar way. 11 goals in 4 home games in the Bundesliga, and their XG is just about 12 in that category as well. That makes my podium. And good news on Pinnacle, BetSmart, Bet Pinnacle, is moved out to plus 106, the overs as well. So I don't know how much of the results on the weekend or last week play into that, but that makes my podium as well. As does the Aston Villa and as does the Real Madrid play over 2.5 in a win. I just wanted to mention a couple more plays really quickly that are most likely making my card. I like Lille on the pick'em against Juventus at plus 111. Bremer and Koopmeiners are both out through injury, and they've affected Juventus and the way they play. And their other center back, Danilo, is suspended for this one. Lille haven't lost a game in 8, and they beat both Real Madrid and Atletico Madrid in the Champions League. They played some good sides in Ligue 1. They've drawn Monaco and Lyon over the course of that process. And the Canadian striker, Jonathan David, 6 in the last 6 in Ligue 1 and 3 in the last 3 in the Champions League. I just think they're an underrated side. And for plus 111 at a pick'em, that's a play I'll absolutely be making this week. And I've been trying to find a play for PSG at Leti because I think PSG are situated in a nice way playing at home and at Leti this week. I just can't find that play, but keep on seeing how the markets progress. Something like PSG win to 0 seems appetizing to me, but there's just not quite a play that I'm ready to make. Same thing goes for Barcelona right now, playing at Red Star Belgrade. I think Barcelona are the top side in the Champions League. The spread right now is at 2, but you're going to have to give up juice to play that at minus 119. I'm tempted, but I want to see how those markets develop before I pull the trigger. Anything else, Jake, on the Champions League this week to keep an eye out for?
No, I'm not too sure who the referee is in that PSG game, but I would be definitely looking at a card angle because obviously we know what both teams are like in terms of just general play, fouling, moaning at the referees, etc. But it's quite a big game. They both started pretty poorly in this group stage, and PSG in particular have got a tough schedule coming up, so this is must-win for them, really, if they are to get in the top 8. If they don't win this, I wouldn't be surprised if they missed out altogether and finished maybe 9-24, which would be a bit of a surprise.
It's wild. PSG 1-1-1 in the Champions League, but 5 wins from 5 in Liga, and they've been thoroughly dominant at home, scoring 17 goals, and their XG is just about 19. Meanwhile, Atleti has struggled in the Champions League, 25th in expected goal differential per 90 minutes. So they need to kickstart their campaign as well. All these games you mentioned, we didn't get to. Bayern Munich, Benfica, 2 teams from a data perspective. They're among the best in the Champions League. No play there for me, but certainly another one to add to your watch list midweek. So that's the first of many podcasts upcoming for the Champions League. Let us know your thoughts on Pinnacle. Get involved in the comments section. Please like, please subscribe. We'll be back here at the beginning of every Champions League match week to break down the biggest and best games or the best markets that we can find. Jake, well done as always. We'll catch you next week.
Yeah, speak to you soon. See ya.
Well, I should say later on this week as we look into the weekend fixtures.
Again,
so quick turnaround, new cycle, new podcasts. We're going to keep this moving here on Pinnacle FC.